Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here and for clicking on the video. Let's go ahead and listen to a little bit more from Rod Stewart. I kind of wanted to listen to a little bit more, and I hope that you guys don't mind as well. Let's stick with Every Picture Tells a Story, and let's listen to the track Reason to Believe, of course, off the album released 1971. Some of you had mentioned this particular track: Jeremy B., Simon Speak, their Union Party, and Mr. Rabbit. You mentioned these tracks, or this track in particular. So thank you so much. Let's go ahead and dive on into the final track of the album. There, on one hand, it says just Reason to Believe is the title, but on the other hand, it also has a parenthesis in the front. Find a reason to believe. So let's go ahead and listen to it regardless. We'll talk about it after. Here we go.
If I listen long enough to you, I'd find a way to believe that it's all true.
You're set.
Knowing that you lied, straight-faced while I cried. Still I look to find a reason to believe. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give. Never think about myself. If I gave you time to change my mind, I'd find a way just to leave the past behind. Straight-faced while I cry. Still I look to find a reason to believe.
Love that bass. Really beautiful.
Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give. Never think about myself. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give. Never think about myself. Someone like you makes it hard to live
So we've listened to a few songs off of this album, and so even though we haven't gone straight through it in a linear fashion, as the closer to the album and as the finale, this hits so many high marks. Rod's voice, I love that deep grating texture in his voice and how this adds a nice gravel texture to the music in which it has this folk, slightly blues adjacent kind of sound to it, especially with the piano and perhaps even in some capacity to an extent the way that the bass plays in certain moments. But really it's the piano that and the movement of the track that I feel has that blues intonation, but deeply, deeply rooted in something folk. And I think that the gathering of all the instruments and the way that they all perform together is absolutely incredible and does a great job of giving Rod such a great foundation to sing off of. It's incredibly catchy as well. Someone like you. And then it flows right after that in his lines. But I like that pointed beginning with the ba 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 ba. Speaking of those roots, Danny Thompson on the bass is always a pleasure to listen to. And from the moment he makes an entry into this track, it feels meteoric, and yet it calms and relaxes. It's like an Alka-Seltzer into a water. Yes, it disturbs, it bubbles up, but it also relaxes once it goes down. So, yes, I just compared Danny Thompson's bass playing to an Alka-Seltzer. Sure, why not? But I love the bass playing. I love how strong it is and how evident it is in the track here. You also have Dick on the violin here. That's going to be Dick Powell. And I love when he comes in. Actually, can I tell you, pretty much when every single member of the band comes in, they make a beautiful impact. Yes, the obvious ones perhaps are Thompson and Powell on the violin, but Ian McLagan rather on the organ. When he comes in, the beginning, the music brings in this beautiful kind of divine light and sound to the song, and then it goes forward from there. And I love how in the break, there is a pure and gentle pause in the music. There is complete silence in that space. And then Rod has a little bit of an a cappella moment that sounds deeply emotional because of the lack of other musical accoutrement around. It's just him. And he restarts the song, restarts the track, and leads it into its finale there. That's really out of this world. And I think the structuring of this whole thing is fantastic. And I really just enjoy that break that happened there. It was very unexpected because it was fading out and I didn't know where it was going to go. But little did I know, it took me right where I wanted to be taken. If I listened long enough to you, I'd find a way to believe that it's all true. I would be convinced if I just heard you long enough. Knowing that you lied straight-faced while I cried, still I look to find a reason to believe. Even when the evidence is presented to him, even when he knows he's been lied to, and he still finds a reason to believe. Someone like you rather, makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give, never think about myself. If I gave you time to change my mind, I'd find a way just to leave the past behind. That's how convincing and manipulative this person is. If I listen long enough to you, I'd find a way to believe it's all true. And it just repeats the lines from there. Let's look at the Wikipedia article for this one. It says it was originally written and composed and recorded by folk singer Tim Hardin in 1965. It's since been recorded by many other artists, most notably the Carpenters as well, and Rod Stewart, and many, many others from there. Looking at Rod Stewart's version here, it was the first single from the album, along with Maggie May. It reached number 62 on the Billboard Hot 100 on its own before the more popular B-side took its way to number 1. The Hot 100 listed Reason to Believe as the flip side for the remaining 16 weeks of that run. Some really good success there. Noted for its instrumentation featuring piano, which is heard playing the slow introduction before Stewart comes in. This is followed by organ, drums, and acoustic guitar. We heard the song. We know what's in there. And it goes from there. A live version was released as well on MTV's Unplugged, or MTV, I'm reading ahead. Well, MTV Unplugged, but Unplugged and Seated. Altogether, the two versions of Reason to Believe logged a total of 41 weeks on the Hot 100. Some really successful chart information on this one. Number 1 in UK singles, 62 US Billboard Hot 100, and so on and so forth. Really good success, this particular track. You let me know down below what you all thought of it in the comments. I hope that you enjoyed it. As always, the Buy Me a Coffee is there. If you have a song request and you want to skip the line, you want to just put it out there, that is where to do it, the Patreon for exclusive content. And if you don't mind just pressing the like button before you head on out. Thank you once again so much for being here. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all later. Bye, guys.